Welcome back, everybody, to Brown Bag Bets, powered by BetSperts. We are your daily dose of quick hit handicapping and sports betting picks. I'm Alex Christensen, and as is Tuesday's tradition, Andy goes over to talk about golf over at the BetSperts Golf Show, which is important, folks. Golf starts tomorrow, so get everything early. So, of course, we bring in my buddy Matthew Rooney. How's it going, Matt? How are things in Chicago? I see the beard is
Think
starting to fill in.
beer's coming back a little bit. See, it just takes a couple days. It's nice and sunny here in Chicago. A little cold outside, but we got some sun out, so that's nice. Usually it's gray this time of year. You mentioned the BetSperts golf crew, and that's where Andy is. We got to give them another round of applause because Ron hit on a $25,000 DFS winner, so he's the big winner of the week. But yeah, that's what we do here at BetSperts Golf. We got 45-1 winners. We finish first in DFS contests. If you're not following the BetSpert, if you're not subscribing to BetSperts Golf, checking that out before every tournament, you're losing money. You just are.
You really are. I mean, a lot going on. What were you watching last night? I'm sure you had your eyes on hockey. Did you see your Chicago Bulls? I should have bet them. I didn't bet them. They took care of business, and that was a nice distraction from having both of my unders go way over.
I did. I had the Bulls on, and it was nice to see. They had that slow start, maybe some tired legs for not, or maybe not tired legs. Whatever. It's rusty legs. That's the word I'm looking for. They hadn't played since Thursday, and even before that, they had a bunch of time off. So just one game in the last 7 days. But they started out slow, and they actually figured out a way to, bounce back, play well defensively, and then they started hitting some shots. They're still not a great team, but like they're starting to show signs of being the team that you and I like the team total over, and I don't think that's necessarily dead yet. I think they have a pretty easy schedule coming up here. The Atlanta was the toughest game of this 4 game stretch, and now they got the Pacers without Halliburton coming up. They got the Hornets, they got the Magic. Like that's a very winnable 4-0 week for them. That if they can do that, get themselves back into 500, get themselves back in the top 8. I think that's a very good week for my Bulls. Our Bulls, you have a bet on them. I'll give you
Bulls,
credit.
yeah,
Yeah,
I take some ownership of the Bulls. It's nice to
yeah,
see them 6-3 in their last 9 games. That's a lot of fun. So, but there's more important things. We got the Super Bowl
there
coming
are.
up, and it's in a couple of weeks. But we thought we'd take a look at Super Bowl MVP odds because this is a more interesting way and probably better way to bet on some of these teams to win the Super Bowl. If you look at odds, again, everyone's kind of right around plus 250 to plus 300, depending on where you look, which pretty much has it even all the way through. So as you start to look at some of these names, I mean, Jalen Hurts there is at the top. I'm looking at Eagles to win the Super Bowl plus 260, him to be the Super Bowl MVP plus 290. We've seen time and time again the quarterbacks tend to do pretty well. But what do you think of this list? Again, we see all the quarterbacks here at the top. I mean, McCaffrey 17-1. He could be a 2 touchdown guy. Jamar Chase, something like that. Anything stick out to you?
I'm looking mostly at 49ers, not necessarily because I think they're going to win the Super Bowl, but more so because I think that's kind of where the value lies. If the Chiefs, if the Bengals, if the Eagles win the Super Bowl, it's going to take like a 3 touchdown performance from Travis Kelsey and like 2 interceptions from Patrick Mahomes for Mahomes not to win that. Same thing with Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow, or T. Higgins and Joe Burrow, or A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith. As good as they've been, those quarterbacks are going to have to, throw for 3 touchdowns or 2 touchdowns to that player and also throw 2 more picks and not look very good in the process to not win that Super Bowl MVP. Nick Bosa is the one that jumps out to me. At 49-1, if you like the 49ers, as solid as Brock Purdy's been, I'm not sure you're going to see him put up the numbers in a Super Bowl against one of those teams to be Super Bowl MVP with how the Niners run that offense. And if the Niners are to beat the Chiefs or the Bengals, it's likely because their defense showed out. They got to the quarterback quite a bit, and Nick Bosa does that as well as anybody else on that defense. And I mean, we've seen it before in the past with Von Miller, however many 6, 7, whatever years ago for the Broncos in a game where, the quarterback didn't do all that much. The defense was the star. If you pick up 2 sacks and a forced fumble and you're the driving catalyst for your team to win, you're not like that. That's for me the recipe for a non-quarterback to win. And I think that's the best value. Maybe a Travis Kelsey, but like, again, I still think if it's anything short of 2 interceptions, Mahomes is still probably winning that MVP. Even if Kelsey does go off for 7, 140 and 3 touchdowns, still probably goes to Mahomes.
I try to think of more of the 2 touchdown guys. I think there's probably a better chance for that now. Like you said, I mean, Mahomes could still throw for 5 touchdowns. Even if 3 of them
Mm-hmm.
are to Kelsey, it's going to be a tough decision. But all those guys that are kind of stacked up there, Chase at 24, Kelsey at 28, Debo at 28, and A.J. Brown
Debo's
at
the one I like too.
35.
Yeah.
Yeah, AJ Brown too. All four of those guys, I think, will get a little sprinkle. The chat's here dropping some people here longer down. Kudos to Kevin here for having
80 to
Tebow 81.
1 and
That's an
60 to 1 on
excellent grab.
Bosa. Jeez, that's good stuff.
Bravo. Jason throws out. Oh, I like Robbie Gould. As a Penn State guy, the
Good
Robbie
as
Gould
gold.
having never missed a playoff field goal really gets to me. That's fun.
Bears
Jason
fans
Cougar, I like
still
that.
kind of take
Miles
ownership
Sanders,
of Robbie Gould.
201.
He'll always be a Bear. We still love him. We still root for him.
I
He
like
eliminated
Jason
the
Cougar
Packers
there.
last
Miles
year.
Sanders, 201. I think Andy Betson Pacheco, 150 to
Really?
1. So, yeah. Try to look further down the board. Think of who might get 2 touchdowns to go from there. I'm trying to think when the last time a defensive player was Super Bowl MVP. I think
It's
it might
Von
have been
Miller.
the Buccaneers.
Von Miller.
Oh, duh. I forgot about Von
Yeah.
Miller.
With against the Panthers. I mean,
Okay, I was
it's
thinking
doable. It can be done. I mean, you need 2 to 3 sacks and probably a forced fumble or a fumble recovery, whatever in there. But like, if your offense is unspectacular and then you're wreaking havoc on Patrick Mahomes or Joe Burrow, it's going to give you a shot.
I like it. Some fun numbers there. Good job by the chat. Some really nice grabs in there. And I guess we'll transition to the NBA, where, as I mentioned, at least they weren't close. Gave out 2 unders yesterday. The San Antonio Spurs and Trailblazers scored a combined 270 points, Matt, and that was not the most points scored. The Bucks dropped 150. The Pistons scored 130.
I heard that score. That's a lot of points. Sometimes it's sometimes losing a bet. Like, it's just better to lose it like that than it is to lose it at the buzzer. Like, all right, at halftime I can just turn this one off. It's over. It's fine.
Yeah, I mean, going back through this morning and looking at the box score, at first I expected to see some big shooting percentage numbers. I mean, the Bucks did shoot 56 from the floor, 44 from the field, but the Pistons shot 40 free throws last night.
That seems like a lot. The Pistons, I was looking up some numbers before the Paris game. I didn't realize like the Pistons get to the free throw line more than any team in basketball. Or they're one of, if they're not one, they're in like the top 3. I would not have expected that without having a Giannis or a LeBron or someone like that on your team, that they're getting to the free throw line that often.
They attack the basket a lot. It's kind of the a symptom, if you will, or an answer to the fact they don't really have much shooting on the team. So instead of trying to stretch it out and have guys that can't shoot, they just keep attacking. So, yeah, it was an interesting night. And if at first you don't succeed, Matt, we'll try again. And I'm going to go back to bat here with another under. There are 7 games tonight. Like you said, your Chicago Bulls on a back-to-back here in Indiana. No Tyrese Halliburton. Should be comfortable for the Bulls, but it's always tough to play back-to-back after a tough game like they had last night. The Boston Celtics, underdogs against Miami. That tells me somebody on Boston's going to be sitting out tonight. That's a very strange line. So wait and see who's actually going to play for them. Cavaliers short favorites in New York, kind of like the Cavs, but was closer to my number than I kind of needed for an edge. The Nuggets are only 1-point favorites in New Orleans. That tells me Jokic is probably out. It's the first end of a back-to-back there, so we'll probably pass on that. Wizards Mavericks. No, Kristaps Porzingis, hard to back the Wizards, but it's Wizards or pass. And then the Battle of LA. If LeBron plays, I'll probably go ahead and grab myself some Lakers if LeBron is in. But for now, Hornets Suns under 227. The Hornets continue to be without LaMelo Ball. The Suns are going to be without Devin Booker again. And it looks like DeAndre Ayton is out tonight. And really, that leads to a very slow pace. It's going to be a Chris Paul game. He generally likes to slow things down. He stays in control of the game, helps him keep his legs a little bit fresher, and really just no offensive firepower for either of these teams. I mean, Terry Rozier for the Hornets has been solid. He'll probably try to put up some big numbers tonight. We'll see what Gordon Hayward has. He's still not 100%, but had struggled to get this total even in the mid 220s, let alone the low 220s. I had this around 220 when I started this morning, tweaked a few things, and talked to a couple other people, got it to about 221, maybe 222, but anything 226, even 225 or higher, just looks like a nice spot for an under tonight. And again, it didn't go so great last night, but if they're going to score 280 points in this game, I'd be very surprised, but I'll just take under 227. Alyssa, I see that. I'm going to take a look while Matt talks about hockey and see if I can find a first field goal for Bulls Pacers.
I like that. I should have came prepared with the Bulls game tonight. I always
I didn't think about it. It's okay. You're right. I should have. That was bad on me. So I'll try to work on that. What are we doing in hockey? Who's playing? What's happening here?
We have a little bit of a bigger slate tonight. We do have a -2.5. Once I see those and I see those with some good plus money, I can't resist. I've talked to Dan about these before. Can't really resist that. So we're going to go with. I'll start there, I should say. Bruins laying 2.5 against the hated rival Montreal Canadiens at plus 124. Montreal's playing okay. They've been a little bit better than we thought they'd be this year, especially with no Carey Price. They're still not a great hockey team. And Boston, I talked about this last week, I believe. Boston's just a wagon right now. They're 37-5-4. They're allowing half a goal in their last 4 games. They've allowed 2 goals over their last 4 games. They're outscoring opponents. I believe it's like 14-2 through that stretch. They can't stop winning. They're the best team in the NHL right now. I have no problem laying the 2.5 with them at plus 124. I'm going to take that and run. And if I lose, whatever. I can live with that. The Penguins team total over 3.5 at minus 102. A little bit surprised this is as close to even money as it is. We talked. They play the Panthers. I didn't fit that on the graphics. It was a little bit too many words. But the Panthers talked about with you last week. They are a much worse team defensively on the road. They've allowed 30 plus more goals on the road than they have at home this year. They're allowing, I believe it's like half a goal more on the road than they are at home. They are on the road in Pittsburgh tonight. They did play last night in New York. I believe they lost 6-2. I love taking Pittsburgh's team total over here. Pittsburgh scored 4+ in 3 of the last 4 games. So we're going to ride with them and more of not only riding with them, but also a fade of Florida's defensive play on the road, especially coming off a back-to-back with some tired legs. So we're going to go Pittsburgh's team total over 3.5, close to even money. And then, the Bruins, we're going to take the wagon minus 2.5 at plus 124.
I like it. And looking at these first field goal score props, looks like it should be one of the centers. I'm going to take Vooch at 5-1 and Miles Turner at 6-1 also. So we'll see how that goes. Whoever wins the tip, hopefully they win the tip and get it back for a bucket. Although Pat Williams too, go for it. That's small forwards generally do well against both of these teams. Why not play it 8-1? What the heck?
Pat Williams had himself a night last night, 18-10. It's nice when he looks like he cares, because there's some games where he's just floating out there and the Bulls aren't very good. But when he is actually being aggressive, taking shots, going for some rebounds, he's a pretty good player. The Bulls are a much better team with him. That's my gentle suggestion to him.
So if you're listening, Patrick Williams, just try harder. That's
just a little bit harder. More consistently. More consistently. Thank you.
Speaking of consistency, another loss to Vika Azarenka last night. She continues to be much better than I expected her. I guess we'll stay away from that. But have a couple matches left. Again, just a handful of tennis left. We had 2 quarter winners last night. They go into semifinal, be Rybakina Azarenka for the first spot in the finals. But 2 women's matches tonight. The first one, Karolina Pliskova, Magda Linette. Again, lost our parlay piece last night once Pegula went down. If you want to take Pliskova minus 170 and put it with something, go ahead. I still think there's some value in that number. I've been trying to find something to do with it all day, but haven't done anything yet. The other match, though, Arina Sabalenka goes up against Donna Vekic in what I think will be a really entertaining match. Both women playing some of the best tennis of their careers. I mean, Sabalenka just looks like a different person out there. And, previous years, previous tournaments, we've seen her really melt down, sort of get into her own head and talk herself into hitting some bad shots. And what we've seen really for the last week and a half now is a much calmer player, someone that really gets back to, kind of what they're good at and centers themselves. Donna Vekic came back from an injury late last year and has really been fantastic. Pushed everybody really hard in that San Diego tournament, actually beat Sabalenka there. And as they face each other tonight, I think it's going to be a really kind of rough match here. I think the first set going to be very competitive. As I go back and look, again, head-to-head in tennis can be a little tricky, but we've got 6 matches between these two, over the last 4 or 5 years. Again, kind of why they were playing some of their best tennis. And Vekic has no problem with the power that Sabalenka keeps sending back to her. Her serve is solid. She's been able to hold against Sabalenka. I'm looking at a lot of 6-4s, a lot of 7-5s in those sets, and had this closer to 10 myself. So over 9.5 plus 115 looks great. Happy to scoop that up. And then the over 2.5 set price. Again, I think that as good as Sabalenka has been, there's still a chance that Vekic takes a set here. Again, I go back and look at that match in San Diego, which, slower courts, a little bit of a different setup there. But again, really competitive. Looks a lot like the past matches they played. And we'll see. Again, Sabalenka's been playing fantastic here, but plus 185 is a great number. I had this closer to plus 155, maybe plus 160. So give me a competitive match tonight. A first set, over 9.5 at plus 115, really plus anything. Looks good to me. And then over 2.5 sets, play anything 175 or better. There's some 180s and 185s out there.
Plus money, I'm in. If I see plus money tennis bets, I'm on board.
It'll be good. I think you'll even be able to stay up late enough for this one. It's only going to be at 9 o'clock, and that's 8 o'clock for you, so you should be fine.
Oh, that's not too bad at all. That's not bad.
Toss it on the iPad or something.
The Blackhawks don't start till 9. Not that I'm going to watch much of them, but like that's 8 o'clock is nothing.
That sounds like that's good. That's distract yourself from the Blackhawks.
Exactly. I need that. I need them to keep losing.
All right. Anything else here we have to cover? Again, hop on over to Betsperts Golf. Catch what those have going on. Great job by the chat today. Anything else we got to mention?
I got nothing. Fresh out.
All right. I think we covered it all then. So again, thanks everybody. Make sure while you're in there in the comments, give us a thumbs up. Put a comment there in the bottom. Literally anything you want. Just tab some random letters or something on your keyboard. It really helps us. And subscribe and do all that good stuff. We'll be back tomorrow for more.